Look, there are areas here where there are disagreements, but what remains is that we continue to discuss these matters and work together in a bipartisan, collaborative approach to solve the problems. That said, the progress we've made is notable.
Local officials alongside Republican lawmakers Thursday when they unveiled details about their shared revenue proposal. That included Milwaukee Mayor Cavalier Johnson.
Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley was also there, and he joins us now here. Welcome back to Upfront.
Well, thank you for having me.
Let's talk about some of these provisions when it looks at the sales tax and the referendum attached to this. How tough of a sell is this going to be to Milwaukee County taxpayers if it requires a referendum?
Well, I think it's going to be definitely a tough sell. At the end of the day, we have to figure out how we can increase revenues, not just for the city of Milwaukee or Milwaukee County. When we talk about the financial crisis that we have been in for many years, at least 2 decades in some cases, it's going to take a lot of educating as far as where we are and what we've done to help lower many of the costs that we have, but also what we need moving forward. And so, whether we have to go to referendum or whether we don't have to go to referendum, we know that we have to do everything that we can to educate the public about where we are and where we're heading.
If the referendum provision stays, how quickly do you need to get this on the ballot?
I would say that we have to put it on the ballot rather quickly. At the end of the day, we want to make sure that we can start collecting these revenues as soon as possible. And I think the current legislation would allow us to go to referendum as soon as possible. So if we can get it done by the end of this year, I think this provides an opportunity not only for the county, but the city to start collecting revenues as soon as possible.
This fall, perhaps?
Possibly.
Now, we do know that obviously these negotiations are still ongoing, still a lot to learn. But what we know right now of kind of the stipulations that are tied to this money, do you have any concerns?
I think we all have a little bit of concerns. I mean, at the end of the day, I would love to have more flexibility when it comes down to the revenues that we're going to be collecting through the local option sales tax once and if approved. But what I will say that this is still going to put us on the best financial footing that we have seen in many decades right here within Milwaukee County. We've had a structural deficit since about 2000, and so this would allow us to actually not only invest in our public safety continuum, but make sure that we continue to provide services for all of our residents across Milwaukee County.
I know that you said that you have not wanted to negotiate in public, but I want you to kind of take us inside these conversations. Are there any specific provisions that you want to remove from the bill before a final bill is presented?
I think, after being in the state capitol for so long and you see these types of bills and pieces of legislation, you want to make sure that you are negotiating, doing what you can do. But it's going to take a lot, working with the Senate Dems, the Senate Republicans, as well as the Assembly and the governor's office to really tackle many of the provisions that we may not like. But again, we're going to allow this process to really go through. We still know that we have a lot of runway in front of us. So we don't necessarily have to rush this bill, but we want to get it done as soon as possible. Again, because we know that not just our region, but communities across the state are in dire need of new revenues.
If this framework is what is passed, should the governor sign it?
Well, I think we have to continue to work with the governor. Again, we want to see what this bill text looks like, and we're going to work with all 4 caucuses, at the end of the day. We have to recognize that this bill doesn't just affect the city of Milwaukee and Milwaukee County. This is also a state shared revenue bill as well. And so we have to make sure that we're working with all of our partners across the state to make sure it is something not only palatable to the governor, but palatable to all local communities across the state.
And so what happens if voters reject a referendum?
Well, at the end of the day, it's going to require us to make some really tough cuts to move forward and make sure that we can actually operate. You have to look at how this will affect our Milwaukee County parks, how this will affect our Milwaukee County transit system, how this will affect us moving people through that public safety continuum. We're not just talking about law enforcement, we're talking about getting people through the court systems, through the jails, or through our community reintegration center or pretrial services, right? So it's going to take us really working hand in hand with the Milwaukee County Board to figure out what cuts we really need to make.
Your neighboring county executive, Paul Farrow, in Waukesha County didn't have the greatest things to say about this proposal, essentially called it a bailout for Milwaukee and Milwaukee County and a slap in the face to all other municipalities and counties across the state. What do you think of that?
Well, I definitely don't think this is a bailout for Milwaukee County. Being able to leverage our own economic growth in any community is not a bailout. But I can definitely understand his concerns, and I think this speaks to the fact that that we still have a long long road ahead of us in really getting something that everyone is going to like. And so I have a great relationship with County Executive Paul Farrow, and we definitely talked about some of his comments, but I understand his frustration at the same time.
Milwaukee County Executive David Crawley. County Executive, good to see you. Appreciate your time and perspective.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Up next, the F-35s arrive. Our new interview one-on-one with Wisconsin's Adjutant General, Major General Paul Knapp.